I want to talk about employment. I want to talk about businesses. I want to talk about job seekers. Why the number of young people who find themselves sitting at home without a job, it's only obvious that this will then lead to desperation for some. Many of these people are potentially breadwinners and they aren't finding work in various markets. Now, I want to change tack and talk about the companies in this. It can potentially place companies in a precarious position. Why I say that? We could see a rise in fraudulent applications, people simply lying and inflating their own qualifications. This could range from counterfeit qualifications to even identity theft and financial misrepresentation. So this more for the business owners and employers, but maybe if you are a potential employee, you might want to sit down and make sure you listen to the next discussion. All to do with a 2024 background screening index. Let's unpack it. Jennifer Barkhuizen, Head of Marketing at MIE, has come in to join us this afternoon. And Jennifer, good to have you on the show. Thank you very, very much indeed. This is a crisis where people are becoming so desperate. I don't want to say the word lying, but that's what it sounds like this might be.
Most definitely. So if you look at the current economic state, there's very high unemployment rates in South Africa. And that's from an individual perspective. But if you look at companies, they're really cutting back on employing new individuals. So they are doing crucial checks, checking the qualifications, etc. But due to this desperation in the market and the high unemployment rates, people are taking chances with embellishing their CVs, misrepresenting their qualifications, their skills, their experience, and that poses a real big risk for an organization, because if you don't diligently check an individual, you can put your current workforce in danger.
Jeopardy. Yeah.
Most definitely. So it's very important that, even if you are cutting back costs as a company, it's so important that you still do due diligence, do proper background screening checks on an individual before you let them into your organization.
I almost want to use the word fraudsters in some cases, out of desperation. I'm not justifying, I'm just suggesting it might be a reason. How difficult is it to do legitimate, authentic background checks on so many people in the job market? Companies might struggle to get this done.
And that's where a company like MIE really does come in, where we assist companies to follow the correct procedures, go directly to the source. It's so easy in today's technology, it's so easy to take a piece of paper, make changes on it, because the technology exists.
AI is a great fun game to play at the moment, isn't it?
Most definitely. And it's become so easy to obtain these certificates. You can do a simple search on social media where you can say, I want to buy a matric certificate, and you will actually get results. You can buy it from a degree mill. I've even been told stories where...
A degree mill?
Yes.
What is that?
So it's basically an organization that you go onto the internet and you say, I am looking for a MBA or a master's doctorate, and they provide you with that piece of paper. You pay a large amount of money for that, and then you have your piece of paper. And people are using that to get into positions which they are not qualified for. If you think of a position where you actually need specific skills, if you think of a medical doctor or even the construction industry, if you are providing false documentation and you are appointed without that person being vetted, you are putting other people's lives in danger. It poses a risk not only for the organization, but, the normal man on the street as well.
I'm glad you mentioned the medical fraternity. I mean, we've covered many stories and cases over the year of fake doctors walking into hospitals, even and treating patients. So that's the kind of extent this can get to. From the business side, you spoke about risk earlier. What kind of risk? Are we talking monetary? Are we talking reputational? Just define risk in your world for me.
No, most definitely. So if you think of employing a person, you go through a recruitment process, it's time, it's money. You pay that person a salary. 6 months down the line, that person can't
actually perform.
They can't perform. They don't know what they're doing in their position. So you've taken your time and your money, and that's the first thing. That's your financial loss and your time that's wasted. And I mean, we all know time is money. Secondly, if that person is in a position where they're working with clients, you can put your clients at risk. And lastly, as you also mentioned, your reputation as a business, you take years and a lot of money to build your reputation. It can take one employee to damage your reputation, and it can take a lot of money and years again to build your reputation again, to say, listen, that was a mistake, that shouldn't have happened, but, you know, we are making it right.
And with the advent of social media being what it is now, the kind of crisis and management control, even after the fact, for your reputation, you might not recover from that. Let's talk protection then from what it is that you do at MIE. It's Managed Integrity Evaluation. That's what it actually stands for.
Yes.
How and what advice do you have for a business owner watching today?
Even though we are facing economic challenges and companies are cutting down, don't cut down on necessities that will bite you down the line. You know, if you don't want to do all 20 checks, for instance, on an individual, make sure that you check their criminal record. Make sure that you're not putting the rest of your workforce in jeopardy. Make sure that they have the qualification they say they do. Check their ID. Are the person, you know, the person sitting in front of you, are they who they say they are? And then, depending on the position, we really urge organizations to have background screening policies in place. Make sure that everybody that comes through your door has gone through the screening process. Now, that might look different for an entry-level position compared to a more senior level, but at least, you know, you've checked qualifications, you've checked ID, and you've checked whether they are who they say they are. And it's so important that you also verify the information they give you on a CV. Because you can put there, you have reported into this person and you worked there for so long. But a lot of people also embellish their CV. You can be very good on paper, you can sell yourself in front of a person, but make sure that you are employing a person with integrity that is honest with you. And if you are an individual applying for a position, rather be honest beforehand. If you maybe do have a criminal record, say it beforehand, before they do a check on you and it comes out.
That's an awkward conversation to have later when you run into your boss and you've got a criminal record. And this is the kind of service I imagine that you offer.
Yes.
So if someone, a small business owner, medium business owner, comes to you and they say, look, we watched the interview, we think we might have issues. What's the first thing that you would tell them as I say goodbye to you?
Well, as I say, don't cut corners with the people you're employing. Make sure that everybody is checked. Make sure that everybody in your organization is aware of the process of onboarding. I mean, fraud is a hot topic, as always. Corruption is a hot topic.
This is the employment fraud.
Exactly, exactly. And another thing is, fraud is not just, you know, people think that it's a misdemeanor if you hand a piece of paper that you tampered with. It's a criminal offence. If you are caught out and found guilty in a court of law, it's a criminal offence. So from an individual perspective, don't do it. And from a company perspective, don't cut corners. Rather spend a couple of $100, make sure the person are where they say they are, that you build walk a journey with that person without having to face the financial risk, the reputational risk that will come to your organisation if you don't.
Because that could really hit the bottom line, which I think what all businesses want to avoid. Jennifer, thank you very much. I'd like to get you back in a couple of weeks' time, just unpack this in way more detail, but very sobering advice, very worrying advice. I didn't realize it was that easy. I had no idea about a degree mill. Don't Google it. Don't Google it. That's not what you have to do. A degree mill. I've learned something new today. Jennifer, thank you very much for coming in. Jennifer Barkhuizen, if you'd like to find them, very, very easy. The acronym is MIE. It's a good example. Managed Integrity Evaluation. Jennifer is the head of marketing at the organization. So business owners, don't say I didn't warn you.